Alright, welcome everybody to the channel. You see the name. I am Mugen the Entertainer. And today I will be talking about a series very near and dear to my heart. And that series would be... That's right everybody, we will be talking about Ichiro Oda's One Piece today. My god, what can I say about this series that anyone else has not said already? And by the way, I did not script this. This is my very first video. Just really trying out the metrics, trying out the sound, trying out the new voice. Yeah, baby. Hey there. Today we will be talking about the Monkey Jesus himself, Monkey D. Luffy, and the Straw Hat Pirates, and their story upon the Grand Line and the larger world, the larger characters, the larger plot points, and more than anything, the larger organizations within the world of One Piece. So, within the world of One Piece, there are more than just the evils of pirates and the navy. Sometimes there are just evils of a kingdom. Sometimes the government looks away from the piracy of pirates. Sometimes children get abducted and sold into slavery. This is largely centered around freedom and what it means to be free. Because to the main character, being king of the pirates is the person who is the most free on the seas. And that's why he wishes for that dream. He doesn't want it for the political power or the claim to fame, but more for the freedom that comes with the title. Because after all, if a person conquered the entire seas, then that would mean they were allowed to do whatever they wanted on them. And that is Luffy. Luffy is by no far intelligent. He is more emotional intelligent and battle intelligent. Luffy can create something on the fly to down an enemy. While we're on the subject of Luffy, how about we talk about this devil fruit for a second? The GOOOO no Mi. The gum fruit. The fruit turns Luffy's body into rubber. And because of that, rubber shenanigans shall ensue. And this is a no spoiler territory. Luffy is the type of person, he would rather crush a man's dreams than to crush a man's life. Luffy is the type of person to where if you could feed him and make him laugh, Luffy will be your friend forever, and Luffy will ride or die for you. And he's a person who not only wishes for freedom for himself, and not only wishes for freedom for his friends and his nakama, but also for freedom for everyone, to be honest. So he goes around the world righting the wrongs of other people, and he is widely hated for it. Luffy can be a god of destruction if you wish to call him that, because Luffy, everywhere he goes, places are always destroyed. From the East Blue with the Baratier all the way to Wano, baby. No spoilers here yet. And I widely know Luffy as the greatest crash out anime protagonist of 3 generations. Luffy is the biggest crash out that you could find inside of a main character manga. Okay, Luffy has no regards for the rules. Luffy has no regards for who is stronger, who has power. Luffy does not back down from a fight, and it shows within his character. Early One Piece spoiler incoming. Luffy at one point ends up at an island where the doctors of the island are highly renowned for their medical knowledge, medical know-how, and their skill. However, the island itself has a deep resentment for pirates, and Luffy at the time kind of needs their help because one of his nakama has become sick with a disease that is almost incurable. And Luffy and a couple of the other crewmates, their first intention is to fight with these locals because they will not allow them entry onto the island. And it isn't until Princess Vivi, a person who had been traveling with us at the time, had to, for him to actually sit back and think about it, like, hey, I kinda need their help, and beating them up isn't gonna make them like me anymore. She hit Luffy on the head, call him a bad captain, and explain to him why it is not a good idea to fight in this moment. But I am getting ahead of myself, so let's start this at the very beginning. When we first meet Monkey D. Luffy, it is inside of the East Blue, inside of Windmill Village in Maki No's bar. And as soon as we see the kid, he wants to prove his bravery to a man named Red-Haired Shanks, so that Shanks will allow him to join this pirate crew. In order to do such a thing, Luffy stabs himself in the eye with a knife to prove that he is not afraid of getting hurt. Shanks and the crew patch Luffy up and they take him to Makino's bar, and they explain that, there's a lot more to being a pirate than not being afraid, you know what I'm saying, and being a good swimmer. In comes Higuma the bear, a mountain bandit worth 8 million berry. Higuma steps into the bar because he wants to get alcohol for his bandit gang. And Makino has to explain to him that she has no more alcohol inside of the bar. And he says, well, what are the pirates drinking on? Because they don't seem like they're drinking water. And Shanks explains to him that they actually bought up all of her booze, and he offers Higuma an unopened fresh bottle of booze. And instead of accepting that, Higuma breaks the bottle and spills the drink all over Shanks. Now, everyone's good, cheerful, laughing mood is kind of sour. And Shanks looks at the glass and he tells Makino, hey, do you have a broom and a mop I can get this up for you with? Higuma attacks Shanks again. In doing so, Shanks basically dodges the attack and Higuma has destroyed part of the bar. Then he calls Shanks a coward. He turns around and he leaves the bar. Makino goes to check on Shanks where he's like, no, I'm fine. And then Shanks' entire crew busts out laughing at him. They laugh at the weakness that Higuma perceived Shanks to be. They laughed at the fact that Shanks allowed Higuma to make him look so weak. And Shanks even laughs with him. But one of the people not laughing was Luffy. Luffy goes on a speech about why would you let them treat you this type of way? Aren't you a man? Like, even if you didn't think you could win, it's more honorable, it's more manly to at least fight for. And Shanks stops him and says, it's just alcohol, Luffy. You just spilled a drink on me. That's no reason to get into such a fight. And Luffy is pissed. Shanks continues talking with a couple different people around him, and as he does, Luffy is seen eating something in the corner, and Shanks stands up. He says, Luffy, you eating away your sadness? Luffy decides that he is going to go and teach the bandits a lesson himself, and Shanks goes to grab his arm to stop him, in which Luffy's arm stretches as he keeps walking forward, and everyone's shocked. Lucky Roo is the first to say it. Captain, it seems like the fruit that we took from the enemy's ship has disappeared. Draws a picture really quick and they show it to Luffy and they're like, did you eat this fruit? Did it look like this? And Luffy's like, yeah. And Shanks says, you idiot, that is a devil fruit, the GOOOO no Mi. It's a fruit of the devil. It makes the person who ate it into a rubber man. And because you've eaten it, you can never swim again. Swimming is a natural weakness to anyone who has had a devil fruit. So if they are submerged within water, they will freeze up and automatically sink to the bottom like an anchor. I don't know, maybe a few days passed or maybe later that same day, and Higuma is now inside of Makuno's bar with his bandit gang, and they are enjoying themselves, and they get on the topic of Shanks. They start to badmouth Shanks, and Luffy, still being in the bar, gets angry at them for badmouthing Shanks because Shanks is Luffy's friend, and Luffy does not take kind to people talking about his friends. The bandits decide to take Luffy and make an example out of him in front of the town. Makino decides to inform the mayor of the situation. They rush to find Luffy, where Higuma has Luffy and he's kicking him. He's just beating Luffy. Luffy's only about 6 or 7 maybe at this time. And then out of nowhere, here comes Shanks. And he says, "Luffy, I thought your punch was as strong as a pistol," which is a cheeky nod back to something Luffy had said to Shanks earlier in their conversation after stabbing himself in the eye. Shanks says, "Alright, you're letting Luffy go." And he goes to step up. And then one of the mountain bandits steps beside Shanks and puts a gun next to his head. And Shanks looks at him and says, "You're putting your life on the line." The bandit thinks to himself, "What?" And he said, "You're putting your life on the line by pointing that at me." Right after he finishes his words, Lucky Roo almost teleports behind the guy with a piece of chicken in one hand and a pistol in the other. And Lucky Roo catches the first body certified in the series right in the head. And then the red-haired pirates proceed to decimate these mountain bandits. And Shanks walks up. He gives this whole spiel about pretty much how most of the time anything that a person could do to Shanks, he would laugh off. You could spit on him, you could call him weak, you could laugh at him, you could spill a drink on him, but nobody hurts a friend of Shanks's. Higuma drops a smoke bomb and disappears with Luffy, and he is going to drop Luffy into the sea. And right as he is on the boat with Luffy and he's going to drop Luffy into the sea, a giant sea monster comes out of the ocean and swallows Higuma whole, almost kills Luffy as well. Now Luffy is exposed to the water of the ocean and has eaten a devil fruit, so he can't swim to save himself. And this Sea King goes to bite down on Luffy. He misses, and in missing, Luffy looks up and sees Shanks, and Shanks gives him a glare and tells him, "Go away." And so the Sea King does it, gets scared of Shanks, and it leaves. And Shanks says, "Boy, I'm glad I made it in time." And Luffy's just crying, he's crying, he's crying, and he says, "Luffy, don't cry, you're a man now. It's alright." And he says, "But Shanks, your arm." And it turned out the Sea King had actually eaten Shanks's left arm. And Shanks says, "It's okay, Luffy, it's just an arm. I'm just happier that you're okay." Such a scene sticks with Luffy to the point where Luffy now does not want to leave the island with Shanks. Luffy would instead like to make his own crew. And Luffy decides that he wants to make a crew that can surpass even Shanks. And Shanks says, "You're gonna surpass even me, huh?" "Nah, you're just a little ass kid. You're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna do anything. You're gonna sit here. You'll never be a pirate. And even if you are, you'll never be a good one." And this is where Luffy gets his dream. Because he tells Shanks, "No, I will be a pirate. I'll be a pirate that surpasses you, and I will be the pirate who finds the legendary treasure, the One Piece." King of the pirates, huh? And he takes his straw hat and places it on a young Luffy's head. And Shanks says, "A better pirate than even me." And he tells him, "This hat is my treasure. It is the greatest treasure to me. Bring it back to me one day when you have become a great pirate."
But the East Coast is like East Blue, where the weak roam, but we stay true. But hey, I'ma be king of the pirates. Yeah, I'ma be king of the pirates. Hey, I'ma be, ayy, I'ma be king of the pirates. Yep, I'ma be, yeah, I'ma be king of the pirates. Fuck it, digital king of the pirates.